Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India NewsHour, India's voice to the world. I'm Amritpal Singh. Coming up in the next 1 hour, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi visits Singapore on the last leg of his two-nation tour to hold formal discussions with Singapore's top leadership to deepen strategic partnership. After wrapping up his visit to Brunei, Darussalam, Prime Minister says his visit ushers in a new era of stronger India-Brunei ties, says friendship will contribute to a better planet. Ukraine witnesses major government reshuffle as 6 ministers, including Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba, resigns. President Zelensky says Ukraine needs new energy. September starts on a shaky note for world markets. US chip maker Nvidia's shares tumble by 9.5%. European and Asian markets end sharply lower. Shot putter Sachin Khiladi's silver medal takes India's medal tally to 21 at the Paralympics. Prime Minister Modi congratulates Indian athletes for record medals. Prime Minister Narendra Modi kicked off the second leg of his two-nation tour as he arrived in Singapore. Prime Minister Modi was received with a warm welcome in Singapore by the members of the Indian diaspora and was hosted by the Prime Minister of Singapore at his official residence.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi received a rousing welcome in Singapore as he arrived for a 2-day state visit at the invitation of Singapore Prime Minister Lawrence Wong. Mr. Shanmugam, the Home Minister of Singapore, reached the airport to receive Prime Minister Modi personally. The members of the Indian diaspora who had gathered to welcome the Prime Minister put on display cultural performances.
It was actually really inspiring because you could see he has such a big aura.
Yeah.
And I was very excited.
Modi ji is a living legend. He's an inspiration for all.
I love to see, we are blessed to see Modi ji personally today. Long live Modi ji. And India and Singapore relations will grow forever in a good conditions.
Prime Minister also interacted with 3 Singaporean girls who performed an Odia dance for the Prime Minister at his arrival.
This was a very surreal experience. I understand that Sir is very well respected in India, so to be able to see that reception was...
Even from the very beginning, Singapore has always had a lot to gain from people who come here from India. They are part of our culture and part of our people as well.
Yeah, I do feel the same. I mean, in fact, when we are in Chowk doing traditional Indian dance, we don't feel like there's a barrier.
Prime Minister was then hosted by the Prime Minister of Singapore for dinner at his official residence. On the second day of Singapore visit, Prime Minister is likely to visit the Parliament of Singapore. Other engagements of the Prime Minister involve engagements with business leaders, engagement with leaders of semiconductor industry, along with signing of MOUs in Singapore.
The arrival of Prime Minister Narendra Modi for his 5th visit in Singapore has rejuvenated the already strong relations between the two countries. The growing people-to-people, business and political relations between the two countries is a living testimony to India's Act East policy working in the region. In Singapore, with camera person Vinay Kumar Tiwari, Akshay Dongre, DD India.
And my colleague Akshay Dongre now joins us live from Singapore. Akshay, first the soft power part of the relationship. We saw cultural performances put up by the Indian diaspora there, but also by these by these 3 Singaporean girls that you spoke to. What is the kind of soft power, given the civilizational, cultural relations that go back centuries between the two countries? What sort of a role does that soft power play in bonding the two countries?
Well, a big role, in fact, Amritpal. If you travel around the country, there are several areas that are called Little India. In fact, one of the most iconic market that is a go-to place for the Singaporeans across the country is a market called Mustafa Market that is run by a person of Indian origin. In fact, that shop is a go-to place because it runs 24/7. It is one of the many iconic businesses that have been running in the country for several decades now. And as far as the soft power is concerned, be it Bollywood, be it the Indian cuisine, everything is quite popular, and anything related to India is quite popular here in Singapore, and that is also attributed to a large diaspora that is living in the country. In fact, about 9 to 10% population of Singapore is of Indian origin. Many people from Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Karnataka have settled here, even from Punjab. So from all parts of the country, people have been living here. Many have become permanent residents. Many are now citizens of the country, and they are also, they have taken the mantle and they are spreading the culture of India across the country. In fact, there are certain institutions like one that is Singapore India Fine Arts Society that has been working for the past 75 years in the country and has been spreading Indian culture, including dances like Bharatnatyam, Kathak, and it's not just the people of Indian origin that are learning these dances. It is also Filipinos, people of Chinese origin, and many other nationalities are learning these kind of dance, these kind of arts that are originally from India. The cuisine, especially the South Indian cuisine, is quite popular here. So that builds a bridge between the two cultures, be it the Singaporean culture and the Indian culture. In fact, Tamil, an Indian language, is an official language here in Singapore. So that in fact makes the Indian culture also mainstream here in Singapore, and that makes it easier for people to accept better relations, and in fact foster better relations, not just at the political level but also at the business level. So that is a role that soft power has been playing, and that has also made it easier for businesses to be widely accepted that are run by the people of Indian origin in Singapore.
Okay. Actually, I'll come to the government-to-government relations. The Prime Minister is going to hold a string of meetings with the top leadership there, bilateral meetings. But, you've been there for the past couple of days. You've interacted with a cross-section of people. You went to the NUS, the National University of Singapore, met students there. The Prime Minister is also meeting business leaders. How does the average Singaporean, the man on the street, the businessman, the students, NUS has got a brilliant management school, look at India as an investment destination, as a partner country to do business with? What is the perception of India in terms of a business hub or a possible business hub?
Well, the perception is quite positive. In fact, Amritpal, Singapore has almost everything. It has skilled labor, it has technology, it has a lot of innovation, it has a lot of capability to manufacture. But what it does not have is perhaps a land. It does not have a huge size. In fact, if you compare Singapore to a city like Delhi, Singapore is half the size of Delhi, that is the capital of India. In fact,
yes, it's a city-state. Yes, it's a city-state.
Union territory as compared to the other largest states like Uttar Pradesh. It's a city-state. Yeah, exactly. So as far as the perception of Singaporean is concerned, they look at India as an untapped, as a hub of untapped resources, a destination of manufacturing factories, a destination, a place where there is a lot of skilled labor force, a lot of human resources, a lot of natural resources as well. So an average Singaporean, when it looks at India, it looks at a large country, a country with a huge population, a country that has a lot of potential, and that is why, especially in the past 10 to 15 years, with this very stable government that has been in India, it is also considered a wise investment by many of the business leaders when we look at the investment point of view, given the fact that the policies have remained largely stable, the kind of of atmosphere that has been created for businesses to enter, that is looking quite positive. So the outlook has been changing, and it continues to change with continuous engagement at the government level. And one last point of that I would like to add is that the kind of arrangement that the Indian government has developed recently with Singapore, that is called ISMR, that is India-Singapore Ministerial Roundtable, is like no other. Neither Singapore has a similar kind of agreement with any other country, neither India has it with any other country, that involves 4 ministers from Indian side and 6 ministers from Singapore side that will be regularly meeting up. And now these involve the finance minister and other ministers like commerce minister, that can in fact boost trade and businesses between these two countries, especially in advanced manufacturing like semiconductors, aviations, then there is digitization, connectivity. So all of this has a lot of potential. These fields have a lot of potential as far as future investment is concerned.
Exactly. You know, the 4 ministers under the ISMR that you mentioned were there, I think, a week ago for the second roundtable. And this comes up, now comes the Prime Minister's visit. You have a lot of other agreements with them. CEPA, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. You have a robust defense relationship, though it's about training and joint military exercises. Absolutely. You are both maritime powers. When the Prime Ministers meet tomorrow and the delegations meet tomorrow, where do you see, what would they intend to do? Or what could be, in your opinion, in what areas could we see forward movement?
Well, there are several areas where we can see a lot of discussions between the leadership of the two countries. In fact, you have rightly mentioned that maritime, business also remains on the top agenda for the Indian government. Learning a lot from Singapore in terms of building of smart cities can be one of the discussions. But perhaps one of the most important is going to be about advanced manufacturing, and especially in the advanced manufacturing sector, it is going to be about semiconductors. So about 10% of Singapore's economy is dependent on semiconductors. Singapore is a country that has been working and has been producing and working on semiconductor for the past 56 years. So that's a long time. They have advanced a lot, and India also is ambitious of building its own manufacturing industry for semiconductors, a hub that countries, especially from Southeast Asia, like countries like Taiwan, countries like Singapore, can look up to as far as setting up their manufacturing hubs are concerned. Because from what we have seen, the kind of threats that has been there for the semiconductor industry has also led to shortage of semiconductor at a point of time, which had not only threatened the economies of the countries of Southeast Asia, but the global economy, because nowadays semiconductors are considered the building blocks of technology. Almost everything that we use in today's world is dependent on semiconductors when we talk about technological advancement and technological equipment. So that is going to be a major focus area of the two leaders, the Singaporean Prime Minister and the Indian Prime Minister, and in all likelihood Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also be visiting some of these semiconductor plants and industries to better understand and to invite these companies to invest in India. Back to you.
All right. Akshay, thank you very much. It's almost midnight there. You've had a long day. You have got a long day tomorrow. Go catch some sleep. Thank you very much for joining us. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi concluded his 2-day visit to Brunei Darussalam on Tuesday. DD India correspondent Munmun Bhattacharya reports on the outcomes.
The first bilateral visit of an Indian Prime Minister to Brunei Darussalam. A heartfelt welcome by the Indian community. And a warm reception by Sultan Haji Hassan Al Bolkiah at his official royal residence, Istana Nurul Iman. The visit of India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi was marked by such defining images in a landmark year for India-Brunei ties, as both sides celebrate the 40th anniversary of their diplomatic ties. While day one of PM Modi's visit to Brunei Darussalam was high on emotion and adulation showered by the Indian community on their leader and reciprocation by the Prime Minister, day two was about personal chemistry between the leadership of both the countries and hard diplomacy.
हम अपने राजनीतिक संबंधों की 40वीं सालगिरह मना रहे हैं। इस अवसर पर हमने निर्णय लिया है कि अपने संबंधों को एनहांस पार्टनरशिप का दर्जा देंगे। हमारी साझेदारी को स्ट्रैटेजिक दिशा देने के लिए हमने सभी पहलुओं पर व्यापक चर्चा की। हम आर्थिक, वैज्ञानिक और रणनीतिक क्षेत्रों में अपने सहयोग को मजबूत करने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध है।
Bilateral ties were elevated to enhanced partnership. An MOU on space cooperation was signed and exchanged. It was on shifting ISRO's telemetry tracking and telecommand station from Tunku to Telesai and upgrading its technology. Newer areas of cooperation were identified, from fintech to cybersecurity, from new and emerging technologies to renewable energy. Both sides agreed that there should be a policy of development and not expansionism in Southeast Asia. Besides a code of conduct for all parties in the South China Sea, freedom of navigation and overflight, and a need for all to abide by UNCLOS, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. This is significant because even though ASEAN member states have taken this position in a multilateral context, in the bilateral context, this is the clearest sign yet from Brunei Darussalam. Joint statement issued when Sultan Haji paid his last state visit to India makes no mention of freedom of overflight, navigation or UNCLOS, even though maritime disputes in this part of the world have been there for several decades. This visit thus assumes significant strategic importance. With cameraman Kumar Datta, this is Munmun Bhattacharya from Brunei Darussalam for DD India.
And my colleague Munmun Bhattacharya now joins us live from Brunei Darussalam. Munmun, you know, if you ask an average Indian, he doesn't even know where Brunei is on the world map. Why was this visit important, so important, that the Prime Minister of India for the first time took up a bilateral visit to that country?
It's a good question, Amritpal, and it's nice to exchange places, isn't it, sometimes?
Yes.
Well, Brunei Darussalam's location is extremely significant strategically. It is alongside the South China Sea. And of course, it's on the north of the Borneo Island. It is surrounded, as you know, by Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, Philippines, etc. So strategic importance is one reason why the Prime Minister chose to come here and also to go to Singapore. The other reason was that this is the 10th year of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Act East policy. The third reason was, and that's again my analysis, that Brunei Darussalam has been a silent claimant of its exclusive economic zone border in the South China Sea. Like we see those visuals of Filipino vessels ramming the Chinese vessels. We don't see that when Chinese vessels enter Bruneian waters. So Darussalam, in fact, has been a silent claimant of its maritime claims against competing claims by China. It hasn't been taking it on. It's not been entering into a conflict. It's been hedging between the United States and China because I think that's really in the best interests of the country and its people. So it thinks that, that's how it should protect its interests. But there seems to have been a change now with the joint statement saying in very clear terms that all parties should abide by UNCLOS and that there should be maritime safety, security. There's mention of freedom of overflight and freedom of navigation. Now, I went through the joint statement that was issued in 2008, and I mentioned that in my report. In that joint statement, there's no mention of freedom of overflight, navigation, even UNCLOS. There's just a mention of maritime safety, security. And I was looking at whether this has been mentioned in the multilateral context, and obviously that has been, because in the ASEAN-India meetings, this has been a constant mention. But on a bilateral level, I think it's a first as far as India-Brunei Darussalam relationship is concerned. And when Hamid Ansari had gone, when he was the vice president, to Brunei Darussalam, then there was a mention of code of conduct. So this construct hadn't come up then. I wonder why, because the UNCLOS came up in 1982 and the The maritime disputes or the 9-dash line has been around for several decades, for at least 7 decades or more. So the fact that this has been mentioned now could mean that there is a change in approach as far as Brunei Darussalam is concerned. Maybe it wants to diversify, doesn't want to overly depend on China for its economic future, because now that natural gas and hydrocarbon deposits are depleting here, there was a feeling that it had signed up on the BRI and the Belt and Road Initiative and wanted China in the long term with it as far as its economic development vision is concerned. But it seems that it is diversifying, and I think that also has a lot to do with the relationship between the two sides, with also with a lot to do with how diplomats have been approaching each other and the importance that is growing over time.
Absolutely. As geopolitics changes, geoeconomics changes, it's understandable they want to diversify their basket. It's almost midnight. You go catch your sleep. But let me tell you something. All work, no play makes Jill a dull girl. Don't be a dull girl before you catch your flight. Enjoy yourself. Bye-bye. Good night. Thank you. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer apologized on behalf of the state to victims of the 2017 Grenell Tower fire that killed 72 people in the Parliament on Wednesday. He told the House that the government will set up an inquiry in the matter after a new report on the disaster on September 4th. Survivors of the Grenfell Tower in fire in London blamed the government for poor regulation.
Start with an apology on behalf of the British state to each and every one of you, and indeed to all of the families affected by this tragedy. It should never have happened. The country failed to discharge its most fundamental duty, to protect you and your loved ones.
The Russia-Ukraine conflict continues for another day while Russian airstrikes hit energy facilities and critical infrastructure in 9 Ukrainian regions over the past 24 hours. Ukraine witnessed major government reshuffle as 6 ministers, including an important minister, the foreign minister of Ukraine, Dmytro Kuleba, resigned.
Attacks and counterattacks going on in the border regions of Russia and Ukraine. In an overnight drone and missile attack on Ukraine's western city of Lviv, 7 people were killed.
People died. We have confirmed information about 7 people who died, including 3 children, small children. Huge destruction. More than 70 buildings across the city were damaged. Rescue operation is still underway.
However, Russia's defense ministry has claimed that its strike on a military institute in Poltava had targeted soldiers and foreign instructors who were involved in attacks on civilian targets inside Russia. Meanwhile, Ukraine's foreign minister Dmytro Kuleba has resigned as part of the biggest government reshuffle of the 30-month conflict with Russia. This is the highest profile casualty so far of a major government reshuffle ordered by President Volodymyr Zelensky at a crucial juncture in the 30-month conflict against Russia. Zelensky said that changes to the government were necessary to achieve the results required by Ukraine.
We need new energy today, and these steps are related only to the strengthening of our state in different directions. United States, Great Britain, France, Germany, only these 4 countries are able to provide long-range weapons that can help us push the Russian Federation out of Ukraine's territory. We are losing people daily, and our ability to solve these problems depends on these 4 countries.
Meanwhile, Russia's foreign ministry has warned the West and Ukraine that Moscow will give an immediate and extremely painful response in the event of long-range strikes on Russian territory by Ukraine. Bureau Report, DD, India.
And Russian President Vladimir Putin met with Chinese Vice President Han Zheng on Wednesday at the annual Eastern Economic Forum, which is currently on in the far eastern city of Russian city of Vladivostok, where Han led the Chinese delegation. Both leaders highlighted significant progress in bilateral relations, particularly in politics, trade, economy, and humanitarian efforts. President Putin also held talks with Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, who headed the Malaysian delegation at the forum. Putin expressed his hope for further improvement in bilateral relations between Russia and Malaysia. President Putin also met with Serbian Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Vulic. During their discussion, Putin mentioned plans to negotiate a new gas supply contract with Serbia, as the current agreement is all set to expire in March 2025. A residential home was damaged in small fires were started after dozens of missiles were fired into northern Israel from Lebanon on Wednesday. The Israeli military said that around 65 projectiles were fired from Lebanon, some of which were intercepted by Israel's aerial defense systems and some of which fell in open areas. Emergency services were dealing with the fires caused by falling projectiles. There were no reports of casualties. The Indian state of Gujarat experienced heavy rainfall on Monday and Tuesday. Southern Gujarat experienced heavy downpours affecting Surat, Valsad, Tapi, Dangs, Narmada and Bharuch districts. Over 30,000 people have been impacted by the flooding. The weather office predicts continued heavy rainfall through Saturday. Tragically, the two Indian Coast Guard officials lost their lives during a rescue operation near the Porbandar seashore. And DDI India correspondent Parth Pandya joins us from Ahmedabad on more on that. Parth, with more heavy rainfall predicted, what are the arrangements that the administration has made for people, especially where flooding could increase?
Yes, Amritpal, good evening. As far as the preparations of the administration is concerned, administration is working 24/7 for the common man to save them from the flooding-like situation. See, another cyclonic circulation has been created on the shore of the Saurashtra, and due to which since last 30 to 35 hours, rain is there in all over the Gujarat, especially in the southern Gujarat region as well as Saurashtra. As far as preparations are concerned, NDRF, SDRF teams are there on the field right now, especially in the Bharuch, because Bharuch was submerged since last 2 days because of more than 25 inch of rain. So NDRF, SDRF is there. Another point of NDRF, SDRF is there in the Kutch, because Kutch recently in last 4 hours received almost 2 to 3 inches of rain, which was significant. And it has been said by the IMD that for the upcoming 3 days, that is 5, 6 and 7 September, yellow alert has been issued in the areas of Surat, Navsari, Valsad, Dang and the southern Gujarat area, as well as in the westernmost point, that is the Kutch. So upcoming 3 days are critical as far as the rains are concerned, and administration is working 24/7 to save people from the situation like flooding.
Okay. All right. Parth, many thanks for joining us and giving us that update. Thank you. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman attended the Women Rise event in Chennai on Wednesday, organized by the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry. In her address, the Finance Minister highlighted the successes of Prime Minister's Jan Dhan Yojana over the past decade, revealing that over 53 million bank accounts have been opened, with women holding 57% of these accounts. Finance Minister further noted that women-led businesses in the country have grown from 17% to 20%. Following the event, the minister engaged with women entrepreneurs and executives who participated in the event. India's services sector demonstrated robust growth in August, with the HSBC India Services Business Activity Index rising to 60.9, marking its strongest expansion since March. According to HSBC, the index reflects the ongoing momentum in the sector, underpinned by productivity gains and positive demand trends. Pranjul Bhandari, Chief India Economist at HSBC, commented on the findings, stating, and I quote, "The composite PMI for India continued to show strong growth in August. The growth was driven by steady improvements in productivity and sustained demand. The rate of new order growth accelerated slightly from July, reaching its highest level since April." This is what Bhandari said, and I quote again, "The growth was largely fueled by an increase in new orders, particularly domestic orders. Among the various subsectors, that's finance and insurance, emerged as the best performing areas. Overall rate of input cost inflation was modest, marking the weakest increase since August 2020. confidence in the future outlook for business activity remains positive. Despite cost pressures, fewer than 4% of the companies raised their average selling prices compared to July. Unquote. And still to come up on DD India News Hour, a discussion on the contours of the India-Singapore relations, even as Prime Minister Modi is in Singapore as we speak. President Dravid Murmu inaugurates the Vishwa Shanti Buddha Vihar in Maharashtra.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Amritpal Singh. And once again, a look at the headlines. Ukraine witnesses major government reshuffle as 6 ministers, including Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba, resigns. President Zelensky says Ukraine needs new energy. After wrapping up his visit to Brunei, Prime Minister says his visit ushers in a new era of stronger India-Brunei ties, says friendship will contribute to a better planet. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi visits Singapore on last leg of his two-nation tour to hold formal discussions with Singapore's top leadership to deepen strategic partnership. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Singapore. He wrapped up his two-day Brunei Darussalam visit. And he arrived in Singapore. He was given a warm cultural reception, both by the Indian community and also by some Singapore dancers who performed cultural performances for the Prime Minister. He was received by the Home Minister of the country, and later he also met with the Prime Minister Lawrence Wong, Prime Minister of Singapore, at his official residence. So the Prime Minister's arrival had to do with interaction with the Indian community today. It's a two-day visit. The Prime Minister will have formal meetings, bilateral meetings with top leadership of Singapore tomorrow. The Prime Minister will be, of course, interacting with the Prime Minister, holding formal bilateral talks with him and his ministers. India just finished the second roundtable of the India-Singapore Ministerial Roundtable, where 4 Indian ministers that included Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and Jaishankar, Dr. S. Jaishankar, External Affairs Minister, Piyush Goyal, Minister of Commerce and Industry, and Ashwini Vaishnav, the Minister for Railways, Information Broadcasting, Electronics and Information Technology. So tomorrow is a big day, and most of the substantive part of the Prime Minister's visit will be taking place tomorrow. We will try and return back to that story and have a discussion with a guest as soon as he joins us. But for the moment, moving on, a climate catastrophe is upon us if weather reports are to be followed earnestly. Across continents and the 7 seas, weather has been sending alarm signals. DD India's Mihir Makhri has more.
From Europe to Asia, climate change is unleashing extreme weather across the globe. In Texas, the impact is hitting hard as flash floods disrupt daily life. Torrential rains have overwhelmed drainage systems in Tom Green County, turning streets into rivers and prompting widespread road closures. Emergency services are in full force, rescuing those affected. After a winter of hardly any snow, a summer of punishing heat waves, and months of little rain and drought across much of Greece, Lake Mornos has dwindled to its lowest level in decades. This has made the muddied remains of homes re-emerging nearly 45 years since the village Kalio disappeared underwater. As scientists pinpoint climate change as the culprit behind Lake Monos's alarming decline, local communities are feeling the impact firsthand.
This is the village that was sunk in order to create this massive infrastructure known as the Monos Artificial Lake. What is happening today can change and take us back to what we experienced in 1990s when it was possible to cross the lake on foot. The problem will be huge if we come to this situation again. So the citizens must respect this resource and use it more wisely.
In Rome, a fierce storm has left its mark on history, damaging the majestic arch of Constantine beside the Colosseum, which was erected in the 4th century AD to honor Emperor Constantine's triumph over rival Maxentius. Tragedy and heroism unfold in Mallorca as the remains of a British hiker are recovered from the Tramontana Mountains. On Wednesday, Spanish Guardia civil teams bravely rescued 10 others trapped by devastating flash floods. In the Philippines, as tropical storm Yagi's floodwaters recede, residents in Rizal province face a daunting cleanup. Thick layers of mud have buried homes, and the battle to scrape and shovel their way back to normalcy is underway.
As of now, we are doing clearing, as this is what tropical storm Yagi brought us. It gave us deep floods. It left us with thick mud. With the help of our neighboring towns, we are helping each other bring back the town of Pilila back to the norm.
The future now hinges on the collective response of countries around the globe to climate change. Mihir Makri reporting for DD India.
And going back to the story of Prime Minister Modi visiting Singapore, where he met with the Singaporean Prime Minister today and is expected to hold formal discussions with the leaderships, with the business community, with CEOs of companies visiting semiconductor facility. What is the significance of this visit, and why is Singapore so important for India, and vice versa? Why are the two countries important for each other? To talk about that, I'm joined by Dr. Ashok Sharma. He's a visiting fellow at the University of New South Wales, Canberra in Australia, at the Australian Defence Force Academy. He joins us from Australia. Thank you, Dr. Sharma, for joining us. First of all, straight up, why is this visit important for both countries?
It's important bilaterally. First of all, it's obviously for bilateral relationship. India and Singapore has been witnessing this strategic partnership for the last 10 years. And they also, it's about to reach the 60th anniversary of their, diplomatic ties. So it's significant in the context of bilateral ties and in a range of areas, especially economy, trade, and strategic. And it's also important in the context of the kind of geopolitics that is, taking place in the Indo-Pacific region, and especially heightened tension between China and the U.S. over there is a vessel clash between the Philippines and Chinese coastal ship guards. So it's an important in this context, and also it's important because India's Indo-Pacific Vision Actist policy. It is acquiring importance under Modi government, which started since 2014, and it's his 5th visit to Singapore. So it's of great significance, and it's going to be important, especially in terms of trade security relationship.
Okay, from a maritime point of view, because both India and Singapore sit at a very important maritime location. The very important sea lanes pass through this. It is important from the security perspective. It is important from the trade perspective. I mean, the maritime arena. Could we see this partnership being strengthened further at this visit of Prime Minister Modi?
Obviously, this is it has been already stated by MEA and Prime Minister Modi that it's a part of Indo-Pacific and Actist policy, and in which maritime security acquires importance in India's Indo-Pacific vision, and especially the concern about the stability and security in the Indo-Pacific and the waters of the between Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean is a big concern, where China's assertive posture is becoming a concern for both the countries. Look, both countries are committed to free and open Indo-Pacific, free navigation, free trade. And we have seen that in this July 2024, Indo-Pacific Economic Forum, Singapore, including Brunei, they were part of this, and India's Indo-Pacific vision. They all aligned together they are committed to a maritime security where, free navigation and free trade is possible. And it's very important. This reason is very important given the, US $3 trillion of US, what the $3 trillion US worth of trade happens, through this maritime route. And also it is important in terms of oil and natural gas and fishing stock. So it's an important region, and maritime security will acquire importance both economically and also for the stability of the region.
Okay. Also, Dr. Sharma, given the fact that the Prime Minister is visiting a semiconductor facility along with Prime Minister Wong tomorrow, why are semiconductors so important and crucial for taking the relationship to the next trajectory, or why are they a significant component of the relationship?
Yeah, the semiconductor economic system has acquired importance in the modern economy. It's computing, electronic, and these semiconductors are important for smartphones, electric vehicles, and industrial components. And it's not only the semiconductor is not just, it seems like a very it's a term, but it's not the semiconductor only. It's the process, the stage, and the distribution of that, the technology, R&D, all this is a host of things. A range of things are important in this entire semiconductor ecosystem. And India has been doing this for this enhancing the partnership and collaboration on this with the United States. In recent years, in the next generation partnership, they have focused on this semiconductor as well. So it's India is looking towards all those high-end countries, developed countries, which has got this expertise in this field. India is also trying to skill their youth in this field. So this is going to be a focus of this, in this bilateral trade partnership. The semiconductor is going to be the main focus of Prime Minister Modi's visit to Singapore.
Absolutely. Semiconductors is one, healthcare, digitalization, skill development, advanced manufacturing, connectivity, the defense relationship. It's a multifaceted relationship that the two sides shall be taking up tomorrow. We'll have to wait till tomorrow to see what agreements are signed between the two sides. But Dr. Sharma, many thanks for joining us for the moment and sharing your insights with us. Thank you. Moving on, India's President Draupadi Murmu is on Wednesday inaugurated the Vishwa Shanti Buddha Vihar in Latur district of the Indian state of Maharashtra. Our correspondent files this report.
On her last day of the three-day visit to Maharashtra, President Draupadi Murmu inaugurated the Vishwa Shanti Buddha Vihar at Udgir in Maharashtra's Latur district.
The President of India, Draupadi Murmu, today inaugurated Buddha Vihar in Udgir, which is one of the talukas of Latur in Maharashtra. Coming to Vihara, Viharas has historical importance in Buddhism. It not only imparts education about Buddhist literature and scriptures, but also it caters religious and other activities. It also provides shelters to monks.
A prayer was conducted following the inauguration. Governor C.P. Radhakrishnan, Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis, Union Minister Ramdas Athavale, and members of All India Bhikkhu Sangha were present for the inaugural event. This Buddha Vihar has been built on 1.15 hectares of land and can accommodate 1,200 people. The President later addressed a large gathering in Udgir where she emphasized on Buddha Vihar.
मुझे बुद्ध विहार का उद्घाटन करने का अवसर मिला। इस विहार में एक मेडिटेशन सेंटर भी बनाया गया है, जिसमें 1000 से अधिक व्यक्ति एक साथ ध्यान कर सकते हैं। भारतीय परंपरा में ध्यान साधना को बहुत महत्व दिया जाता है। आज की तनावपूर्ण जीवन शैली में ध्यान की उपयोगिता और भी बढ़ गई है।
This is the first time any Indian president has visited Udgir, and that's the reason this day is now marked as a red letter day for Latur district.
About 5.81% population of Maharashtra is Buddhist, which makes Maharashtra the state which is the only non-northeastern state in top 5 population center of Buddhist in India. That's the reason why the inauguration of Buddha Vihar in Latur is a very significant, you can say, a watershed moment for the state of Maharashtra as well as for the country. With my colleague Lokavi Raman, I am Yogesh Kumar Sikal reporting from Maharashtra for DD India.
And India's President Dravid Murmu will confer the National Teachers Award 2024 to 82 selected awardees on the 5th of September at Vigyan Bhavan in New Delhi. She greeted the teachers across the country on the eve of the Teachers' Day. In a message, the President said, on the occasion of the Teachers' Day, I extend my warm wishes to all teachers in our country. This day marks the birth anniversary of the greatest educationist, philosopher and former President of India, Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, who's a great source of inspiration for the entire nation. I pay my humble tributes to him on this occasion. Unquote. India's national capital, Delhi, is once again set to host the largest exhibition in the field of textiles and fashion, Bharat Tex 2025. The exhibition will take place from February 14 to 17 next year. Textiles Minister Giriraj Singh on Wednesday participated in the program focused on preparations for this exhibition. The minister urged the organizers to involve as many stakeholders as possible in the exhibition. The event will feature exhibitions, B2B networking, MOUs, product launches and interactive pavilions. It will attract top policymakers, CEOs, international exhibitors and buyers from across the world. As we move towards a cleaner, greener future, implementing the robust electric vehicle ecosystem is the need of the hour. India is making giant strides when it comes to electric mobility and infrastructure. DD India's Siddharth Bharadwaj reports.
Millions of vehicles flooding the roads every day, increasing vehicular pollution, increased level of greenhouse gases in the environment. All these things are giving us a hint and a warning. Transportation global emissions grew by 1.1% in 2023, increasing 410 million tons to reach a new high of 37.4 billion tons, according to International Energy Agency. The repercussions in the form of climate change could be seen everywhere, including India. India's push for EVs has grown many folds, especially in the last few years, with schemes like Faster Adoption and Manufacturing Electric Vehicles, or FAME, first adopted in 2015. Road transport electrification is regarded as a key technology pathway for India to reduce CO2 emissions and improve air quality, while fostering economic growth and global competitiveness. While addressing the National Conference on Electric Mobility in New Delhi, Union Minister for Heavy Industries H.D. Kumaraswamy emphasized on the need of promoting more electric vehicles and local manufacturing of the infrastructures for it.
Our ministry is taking a comprehensive approach to boost India's EV ecosystem through various schemes. We are not only promoting electric vehicles but also supporting local manufacturing and sustainable growth.
The minister also talked about the challenges in the present scenario.
Several challenges are there, not only one or two. Several challenges are there. For that we are working out. We had an experience of FAME 1, FAME 2. On that basis, future in FAME 3, how we have to change several challenges, how to set it. For that we are working out.
Tarun Kapoor, advisor to the Prime Minister of India, said that the transport sector needs to be reformed and we need to move very fast if we want to achieve something in this sector.
Probably we have a long way to go and we really need to move much faster. If we identify 4-5 sectors where India has an opportunity to lead the world, now we are very sure that EV is one of them.
Holistic transition from fossil fuels to green energy is on the government's top priority list.
EVs are the need of the hour, and India is making giant strides when it comes to implementing EVs on roads and strategizing the infrastructures related to it. However, nothing comes without challenges. With camera person Anil Thakur, this is Siddharth Bharadwaj reporting for DD India in New Delhi.
Nepal's Minister for Culture, Tourism and Civil Aviation, Badri Prasad Pandey, emphasized on Wednesday the government's commitment to enhancing air safety. Pandey informed the House of Representatives International Relations and Tourism Committee that the Aviation Bill, which proposes splitting the Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal into separate executive and regulatory bodies, may soon be tabled in Parliament after the approval from the Ministry of Finance of the country. The division is expected to help reduce air crashes by creating distinct oversight and operational entities. The Indian community celebrated Teej by participating in a cultural evening today at the Embassy of India in Kathmandu. Teej is a function which is done in the rainy season. Celebratory programs at the Sheetal Niwas was hosted by the First Lady of Nepal, Sabita Paudel. On Tuesday, President of Nepal, Ramchandar Paudel, former President Bidya Devi Bhandari, women ministers, women parliamentarians and senior women officials from various agencies were present.
In Nepal, the Teej celebration starts month before the actual Teej fasting day. Traditionally, it is customary to eat the dar one day before fasting. Dar is a midnight food consumption for the endurance to the fasting of Teej day. With the commercialization of Teej festival, shopping malls, hotels and restaurants are giving special offers to attract customers. As a celebration of Teej Kadar, from 2 to 3 weeks before the Teej fast, it is customary for Nepali women to gather in groups to dance, chat and have fun. The Teej festival, also known as Haritalika, is being observed by Nepali Hindu women and will be celebrated on September 6. Shweta Singh, Kathmandu.
The 13th edition of the International Government Communication Forum kicked off on Wednesday in Sharjah, themed Agile Governments Innovative Communication. This two-day forum gathers over 250 international speakers to discuss key topics. The forum will delve into the importance of innovative communication as governments globally adopt agile governance to foster innovation and develop future opportunities. Okay, let's talk about the global markets which crashed today. European and Asian markets slid on Wednesday as investors worried about a potential US economic slowdown and sold highly valued technology stocks following a sharp drop in chip maker Nvidia's share price. Wall Street's main indices opened lower on Wednesday as fresh worries of the health of US economy kept investors on the sidelines in the run-up to the labor data. The benchmark Stocks Europe 600 index fell 1%, while the FTSE 100 lost 0.5%. While Japan's broad topics share gauge plunged 3.7% on Wednesday in its biggest daily drop since the August 5th market rout. Investors are looking ahead to a range of US jobs data this week, while Federal Reserve is expected to cut rates for the first time since 2020 on September 18th. You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for some sport news. Let's take all the updates from the Paris Paralympics. India's para-athlete Sachin Sarjerao Khiladi won the silver in the men's shot put F46 with his best throw of 16.32 meters at the Paris Paralympic 2024. In the finale, Sachin began with a poor first throw that failed to touch 15 meters and recorded 14.72 meters. But he came back stronger. His next throw was at 16.32 meters, putting him on the top and also creating an area record. The gold medal was won by Canada's Greg Stewart. With this, India's Paris Paralympics tally reached 21 medals. The Indian contingent achieved the best ever performance in Paralympics games with 21 medals. Sachin Khiladi's silver medal has further added to the tally, and the countrymen will hope for more medals in the upcoming matches. Currently, India occupies the 19th spot in the overall standings. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi took to X to congratulate the Paralympic contingent for setting a record of the highest ever medals. Prime Minister wrote on X, and I quote, "India is proud and delighted. Our incredible Paralympic contingent has set a record for the highest ever medals for our country in any Paralympics. This shows the dedication and passion and determination of our athletes. Congrats to each and every player. Cheer for Bharat, unquote. India's Sports Minister Mansukh Mandavia recognized the outstanding achievements of India's para-badminton players at the Paris Paralympic Games on Wednesday. The event marked the successful conclusion of another Paralympic cycle, during which India's para-badminton players shone brightly on the world stage.
Sports Minister Mansukh Mandavia on Wednesday felicitated Indian para-badminton players for their remarkable achievements at the Paris Paralympic Games. India's para-badminton team made the nation proud by securing 5 medals at the coveted games. The Union Sports Minister lauded the team for their exceptional performance and expressed confidence that India will continue its upward trajectory in future events. The minister also presented cash awards to the medal winners.
हमारे 3 गोल्ड मेडल, 7 सिल्वर मेडल और 10 ब्रॉन्ज मेडल हमारे खिलाड़ियों ने हासिल करा है। हम सब लोग चीयर फॉर भारत करके उसका हौसला बढ़ाए और आने वाले दिनों में 11 मेडल के लिए और हमारे खिलाड़ी खेलने के लिए उतरेंगे। मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि हमारे खिलाड़ी जिस तरह से परफॉर्मेंस पैरालंपिक में कर रहा है, उसको देखते हुए आगे भी हमें और अच्छी सफलता मिलेगी।
This achievement underlines the growing strength and potential of India's para-athletes. This success story is an evidence to the determination of the athletes and the robust support system provided by the government.
We experienced this for the first time in the Asian Para Games 2018 when Prime Minister Sir met us after the conclusion of the Asian Para Games, and then that motivated athletes very hugely and very heavily, and then since then after every major event he has invited players and he has met everyone personally. We granted them wishes and gave his blessing to everyone.
The medal tally included 1 gold, 2 silvers and 2 bronze medals. Nitesh Kumar won gold in the MS SL3 category, while Suhas Jathiraj and Thulasimati Murugesan clinched silver. Nitya Shri Sivan and Manisha Ramadas secured bronze medals in their respective categories. Initiatives like targeted financial assistance, world-class training facilities and specialized coaching have been instrumental in elevating the performance of India's para-athletes. Narayan Singh's report for DD India.
Former Indian head coach Rahul Dravid is set to return as head coach of Rajasthan Royals for the 18th edition of the Indian Premier League. Dravid has a history of being associated with Rajasthan Royals. He was their captain in IPL 2012 and 2013 and served as team director and mentor in the 2014 and 2015 sessions. In 2016, Dravid moved to Delhi Capitals until he became the head of the National Cricket Academy in Bengaluru in 2019. In 2021, he was appointed as the head coach of the Indian men's team and ended his 3-year stint with their first ICC title in 11 years. And that's all in this edition of DD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code you see on your screens right now to download. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Amritpal Singh from my entire team here in Delhi. Thank you for watching DD India News Hour.